This past weekend, I went to the ARG Invitational. It's kind of like their nationals. It's a $12,000 tournament, and I went 7-1 in Swiss, so I got fourth, which was really exciting. And I do want to say, just in general, because I sort of mocked the previous ARG mat, the States one. This mat is really nice. It has the Solemn Strike guy. I guess he's on all the Solemns, and I do want to give him huge credit. It looks like, I mean, clearly this is like a different artist, but this mat is beautiful. I like it a lot. So I just want to give a shout out, give some props to the ARG team for deciding on this mat for the Invitational. Much better than just like a busty Dark Magician Girl or anything. What I'm not super excited about, that I feel is worth mentioning just to like sort of chronicle what happened. On the website, it said that it was going to cut to top 16 after the Swiss day on day one. It cut to top 32, which sounds like a good thing. Obviously, it doesn't affect me because I got fourth, but it's not a good thing because they ended up not giving any prizes to top 32, like 32nd through 17th. All we got were the mat, whereas top 16 got paid. I am kind of disappointed that this is what happened because it didn't mention anywhere. Like if you go to the Konami website and you look at like what they say for like prize support, they mention that if there's more than like a certain number of people, like the prize support scales upward. Well, the ARG website didn't mention that. You don't even find the word like 17th through 32nd on there. It just, the lowest prize support they show is top 16. So I feel, yeah, like I wanted the money obviously, like for top 16 because I did lose in top 32, but like, I don't know, I'm just disappointed that that happened, and I think that they should have communicated that better. Anyway, though, I played Altergeist at this event, and like I said, I went 7-1. I felt that this was a tournament that I was really prepared for. I've really been trying to play more competitive recently. I mean, obviously, like the regional flight, which isn't like a huge deal. Like the Worlds tournament, I felt like I really wanted to do well in as well, and I've been doing a lot better than I did last year. So this is a good way to start the year. A top, I don't know if it's a premier top, but it is a top, and it was one of the hardest tournaments that I played. Pretty much every round was like against a named player. That's kind of like the nature of like ARG events, but especially the Invitational, which you have to get an invite to previously to even enter the event. Obviously, you're going to face a lot of good players. But yeah, let's just jump right in. So I played 3 copies of Altergeist Marionnetter, 3 copies of Multifaker, all pretty standard. 3 copies of Mullaseek, which is my favorite one. I think that the way to tell like a good Altergeist player from bad Altergeist player is like their management of Mullaseek. This card's really good. 2 copies of this. I don't know, it's like you like want to play 2, and it's like especially if you play Desires, which I don't, but like it's just a good card to have. You don't really want to ever like draw this card, but it's not like the worst thing to draw because if you have like Protocol, you can use it. If you have like anything, you can use it. If you draw like the Concrete, you can use. This is a pretty good combo. You have this guy on board, and then you summon this to block an attack, and then you bounce it to bounce a monster, and then you block it another attack. Really good combo. But I don't know. Like I'm just playing Duality, not Desires, so I'm pretty sure this card's cuttable to 1. But it's just like it's so awkward. Like I never want to have a situation where I'm summoning a Multifaker, but I don't have access to the level 2 guy, so I'm playing 2 copies. But like in the top 32, like. And really, the deck was super consistent throughout the whole weekend. It was like the least amount I've ever bricked at a tournament with Altergeist, and I think the changes that I made to the build really helped with that. But in the top 32, when I bricked games 1 and 3, the only monster I had was the level 2, which was pretty disappointing. But I think if I just had like other cards, it would have been a lot better. But overall, that's kind of like the standard Altergeist engine. A lot of people in the OCG play 2 copies of Concrete. I think that's insane. Maybe it'll get to that point in TCG. Maybe it's because they're playing Pot of Desires. I'm not sure, but I think that's not very good. For the hand traps, I played 3 copies of Reaper, 3 copies of Ash. Honestly, I think these were like the worst hand traps to play looking back on it. Reaper, only for like Goki. Like technically I had the Sky Striker guys in there, but that never worked. Like it actually never worked, which is kind of disappointing. I think this card was a miscall. I think this should have been Ogre. Ogre's really good, and it's also good against Goki as well. If you Ogre the Isolde, a lot of times it just ends their turn. They can't use the card they searched, obviously. It requires them to have 2 more extenders, which is pretty rare. Ash is like good against any deck playing Desires, which is a lot of them. I did Ash a lot of Desires, but I think that just in general, this card wasn't as strong as I hoped it to be, so I don't know if these were like the right choices, or if there were better choices, or maybe there isn't a better choice. I'm not sure, but I think Ogre instead of Reaper would have been a pretty good decision. For the spells, we have 3 copies of Pot of Duality. like I said, I don't play Desires. I don't want to banish the cards. I always want access to like every Altergeist in my deck. It's just, you don't want to banish any of them. It's kind of like, why I didn't like Desires and Frogs for a while is because you don't want to banish any of your Frogs. Like, not the Swap Frogs, not the Rodent Totem, not the Dupe Frog. And the Altergeist is like kind of the same way. Like, as long as you have like one copy of everything, you're fine, but if you banish like all the copies of something, it just like totally screws you up. So I think that Duality is better for that because it doesn't banish anything. You don't special summon that much on your turn. I mean, you do once the deck gets going, but if the deck's already like, if you're already making combos where you're special summoning a lot on your turn, like, you don't need the Duality anyway. Duality is more of like a starter card. It's also really, really good for seeing side deck cards. I think that's like my favorite thing about Duality. Lets you see 3 cards. You don't get all 3, but you get to see 3 cards, as opposed to Desires, you only get to see 2, and in the case of side deck cards, you need like 1 card in particular that like really matters a lot. So I like Duality. And then the other card I played, which is, I don't think anyone else is playing this in Altergeist, at least that I've seen, Call by the Grave. This card is nuts. This was like a card that I tried out at the World Celebration Tournament, and yeah, it overperforms this weekend. It's really good. The main reason I play this card is because when you open the Maliseek and like you're going first and you're like, man, should I summon this and then make a Linkuriboh and like lose to Ash? Or like sometimes you just really need that search, and like instead of just dealing with that awkward situation, I just decided I would play like a card to just like fix it, and that's like Call by the Grave. But the card has other applications. You can use it on like Goki's search effects. You can use it on like when your opponent soul charges. You can banish for the monsters. In the Altergeist mirror match, it's just a blowout. You can hit the Maliseek. That's really good. You can hit the stuff that they target manifestation. In the Trickstar matchup, when they reincarnation, you can hit that. And then in the Sky Striker matchup, which I already think is an auto win pretty much, like the pure Sky Striker matchup, but I don't think it's very difficult for this deck to deal with. You just have so many tools, but Call by the Grave is like the easiest way to like beat the deck. You just Call by the Grave the Ray, you just lose immediately. So I like this card a lot, but I don't know if I'd played 3. 2 seems to be fine. Yeah, for the traps, 3 copies of Personal Spoofing, 3 copies of Protocol, and 1 copy of Manifestation. You can probably cut 1 Protocol, like, to be honest. Like, I played 3 for a while. I played this 3-3-1 lineup for a while, but I think the 2 Protocol is probably optimal. It's just a card that you like want to see a lot, so it's like I wanted to play 3, but it's probably too much. 3 Rivalry, best card in the deck. I mean, if you draw this, like, you'll just win. I don't think a lot of people realize that if you draw this against Trickstar Sky Striker specifically, and they activate Hornet, and you flip Rivalry, if they're not main decking Twin Misters, which almost none of them are, there's actually no outs in the entire deck. Like, you'll just deck them out, which is like I said, I don't think people realize that, but like if you look at the list from like the top 32 of this event and just events in general, the only out that they're playing the Rivalry is generally like Afterburners, because they can't really, some of them are playing like Phantom Skyblaster, some is a Fiend token, then you make Phoenix, but outside of that, which none of them are playing except I think Cody Angeloff was playing, who I faced in Swiss. Outside of that though, like just the pure Sky Striker Trickstar deck, I guess it's not really pure, but just that strategy in general has like, the only out to it is Afterburners, and like if they have the Hornet token, like they can't Afterburners, but even if they somehow like get rid of it, like and they try to Afterburners, because usually that's still their only out to it, you can just chain Spoofing to put back the monster that they target, and then you don't get killed by it, and that's just like, I don't think people like understood that like there was actually no out to this card. And obviously like it's a really good card, and Goki have some ways to just like put a lot of damage on board. But as far as Trickstar Sky Strikers go, it's like an auto win, which is really cool. And then Effect Negation, 3 copies of Impermanence. It's expensive. It's really needed in this deck because it's Altergeist and triggers the Multi-Faker. Really bad going first. So, and then 3 copies of Strike. Shout out to the Psalm Strike guy on the mat here, the Santa Claus. Strike's really good. The one of the Altergeist players in top was not playing this. The other guy was, and I was obviously. I think his card's really good. I think this is like good because it's like kind of extra copies of Call by the Grave. You can negate hand traps with it. I just like, whenever you have Strike, you just feel safe, and I like feeling safe when I play. And then the last card, Order. It's a blowout. It's an auto win. The best part about this card is that when you activate it, your opponent just scoops the game no matter how bad your board is. I think that like a lot of people underestimate the fact that like every time my turn starts, I've now taken another 1,400 damage, and that's a lot of damage, especially in a deck like Altergeist. There's so many times where I just flip Order and I have like no monsters on board, and they still just like scoop, like the Sky Striker and the Trickstar. Not so much Goki, but Sky Striker and Trickstar. When I activate Order, they just scoop after like a turn or 2 we're playing, and it's like, you just play it out. Like you can usually like win after that. So I play Order not because like I necessarily think it's like the best card in the game, but just because like it makes my opponent scoop. I like cards like that. For the extra deck, we have 3 copies of Hextia. I cut the Link 3 Altergeist because every time that I made it, it was the wrong play, so I figured if I just didn't play it, I would not summon it. And then the 1 Link Kribo, we Nightmares, so we have Phoenix, Cerberus, Unicorn. I didn't play what is that one? Griffin, because that one sucks. And then we have Ashik Magician. It outs the Phoenix, Goblin, Cerberus board, so that's pretty good. Ningirsu also outs it, but actually like has a bigger body, and you can send other cards, and also they can have like weird positioning, and you can use this to get rid of the card. And then Borolo Dragon, just to out other Borolo Dragons. Realistically, I never made any of these cards. I just made these ones every game like a million times. I see some people playing 2 Hexia. I go through 3 a lot. When you do like the big combo, you always make Hexia and then make a second Hexia using the first one to search Manifestation, and then if you do that, like you need 1 left in your deck just for like pushing for game in the next turn. Cherries targets, I never cherries those cards. Cherries this a lot. It's I don't know, cherries I don't think was actually correct, but it is really good when you cherries this and they don't have Called by the Grave. And then 2 copies of Chimera Tech Mega Fleet Dragon. I only summoned this once. It lost me the game because my opponent accidentally cheated. That was the live stream match. I don't blame him for it. Like, we both didn't see it. But the Chimera Tech got hit by an Altergeist Concrete when he didn't have an Altergeist card on the board, which like really sucks because it puts it attack to 0 permanently. That's how that interaction works, which is really rough. So I should have just kept the Cyber Dragon on board or whatever. But I would have won that without that ruling or without that mistake. So like I guess the card's okay. Just in general, I'm pretty sure I should have played Clara and Ruska. That's the Link 1 Spellcaster, because you can make that card with Milliseek under Rivalry, which you can't make Link Kribo under Rivalry. So that like really came up. That was something that the other Altergeist players were playing. I didn't get a chance to get a copy before the event. I definitely would cut 1 Chimera Tech for that card. And then the side deck, 3 Cyber Dragon for the Mega Fleet. It's also just like a big monster. If you summon this in the mirror, like they can't protocol it because it doesn't have an activated effect, and they can't really like, the main way to deal with cards is using the level 2 guy, and this just bounces back to hand so you can just summon it again. It's just a really powerful control card. I can't believe it's 2018 and like people are like just playing Cyber Dragon, but I mean it's really good. It's like I understand it. And then 2 Inspector Border for the mirror match. It's an auto win in the mirror match. Like a lot, I keep saying like a lot of these cards are auto win. I think that's like part of the reason this deck's so good. But yeah, this card is really good in the mirror, but I never drew it in the mirror match that I played. But it's just like one of those cards that makes the mirror match like almost degenerate, because like, I don't know, it's summoning this like doesn't feel good. Like you just beat your opponent because they can't activate anything. It's crazy. Like I know Rivalry does the same thing, but this thing's just like actually impossible to deal with, which is hilarious. I played 3 Battle of the Elements. I have never drawn this card in like the 3 tournaments that I played it in. However, I do think it's like actually a good card. Like just because I'm not drawing it doesn't mean it's a bad card. I did discover the ruling that I guess it's always been, but that I wasn't really aware of until Worlds. And basically, Battle of the Elements, you can't activate it unless there's monsters on both players' side of the board. The only time that matters is when you were trying to activate Battle of the Elements with a multi-faker in hand and no cards on the field. But that only happens about like 30% of the time that you actually have Battle of the Elements. A lot of times you'll either have Marionetta or Milliseek on the board, or like a Link Kribo or something. So like in general, I don't think that really matters, but like it is worth mentioning that both players have to control monsters. But it's just like the card, even though I didn't draw it, it is the card you always want to draw going second against Goki, so it's probably worth playing because Goki's like the best deck. And then 3 copies of Evenly Matched just for like everything else. This card is like one of the cards that makes the Skystriker matchup just like really easy, because you can just evenly match, and then like they end with the multi-roll usually, and they chain a Widow Anchor targeting their monsters, so that the multi-roll sets an engage in the end phase. And then when they set the engage in the end phase, when their turn starts, you just flip the Heavy Storm Duster that I've sided 2 copies of to hit the multi-roll and the engage, and then the engage is banished, and like they just lose the game instantly. So Heavy Storm Duster, evenly matched, just make the Skystriker matchup super easy, and the Call by the Graves. All the cards in this deck just are so good against Skystrikers, it's ridiculous. And this card's really good in the mirror as well. It's pretty good against Trickstar Skystrikers too. The main reason this card's good against that deck is because if they light stage this, you can just like let it happen, and then in the end phase you just pop their Scapegoat and Reincarnation. They never see it coming. Super easy clap win. And then we have 2 copies of Wiretap, because I'm really afraid of Red Reboot, really afraid of Evenly Matched, really afraid of Trickstar Reincarnation when I don't want it to happen. This card is particularly good against Trickstar Reincarnation because it puts it back in the deck instead of like sent to the grave, so they can't get the revival off of it. That's really powerful. In Trickstars, it's really hard to like beat that deck because their monsters are bigger than yours. You can crash with Lycris, but you can't attack over Candina without making a Link monster. And you don't want to bounce the Candina with a level 2 guy because then like they get another search. So it's really hard to beat Candina, especially like if they have the Reincarnation, because even if you negate its effect with Protocol, they just bring it back and attack over your guy. It's really rough. So just if you can just wiretap the Reincarnation, then when you kill the Candina, they can't bring it back. Easy peasy. If they don't have 1800 guys, it's way too good. Maybe I should play Gemini Elves or something. It's also a spellcaster. But yeah, no. Just in general, this tournament was a lot of fun. I think this deck is really solid. I'm looking forward to playing in the 200th YCS as well as some regionals. I don't think I'll be going to the UDS. That's happening in like 2 weeks, but maybe. We'll see. And yeah, I think the ARG events in general, they're not my favorite thing, and I think kind of like the issue that happened with the top 16 is like kind of an example of why they're not my favorite thing. It just seems like if that's not on the website, like if that was a Konami event, that would have been on the website, or they wouldn't have changed it at the last second just to like screw over top 16 people. But yeah, I think that's all I need to say about that. But yeah, hopefully you guys made this deck profile. Look forward to some more top deck profiles from yours truly, and I'll try to win some more stuff at the top tier premier events. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Bye.